Okay, guys, so I'm going to be answering a question that's been on many people's minds about when, if ever, are these lockdowns, mask mandates, etc., going to end? And there's a very good logical reason why they cannot end for at least another year. Okay, so I'm just going to briefly explain why that is. Because they love to hand the carrot out that if you do this and if you do that, then we can, we can get to the end of lockdown. No, we can't get to the end of lockdown. We can, of course, relax lockdown momentarily, but it can't end. And I'm now going to explain why. So the entire vaccine situation can only happen under a state of emergency. So the vaccines that are currently being used are not FDA approved, and they cannot be approved because they haven't completed the clinical trials, and they won't be completing the clinical trials until 2023, any of them. So the only way that the vaccines have been accepted is under emergency use. Okay, so the moment the emergency finishes, the vaccines will not be allowed to be used anymore. So they cannot end the state of emergency until after the clinical trials are complete and the vaccines can be approved under the normal methods of approval. Until that point, they would have to shut down the entire vaccine program around the world. And that's just not going to happen. The governments are spending huge sums of money on these vaccines, and they fully intend on continuing to use the vaccines. So they have to keep the state of emergency going, which means they have to keep lockdowns, masks and so on happening. Because the moment that they say, hey, we don't need a lockdown anymore, the masks, we don't need to wear them anymore, then they're effectively saying the emergency is over. They can't argue an emergency anymore. So there is no way that masks and lockdowns are going to end until after 2023. That's the minimum. Could go on beyond that. There's very good reasons to believe that it's pretty much permanent forever now, but it certainly can't happen until the vaccines finish their clinical trials and can be approved. So, there you have it. Just think logically.